And then I would say, cut, and he'd be, oh, how was that? Was that all right? And it was just so sweet again. I mean, how he could turn it on and off, I've never seen anything like that before.
All right, edge of your seat thriller. I really enjoyed this film.
Thank you.
It's one of those films where you're talking at it like, don't do that.
Right.
And congratulations. This is your second film directing. So what made you want to go from Geostorm, which was, sci-fi, big blockbuster type film, to an indie thriller?
When I was given the script by the writer, Brandon Boyce, I couldn't put it down. It was so compelling, it was so exciting, and it reminded me of kind of the early Brian De Palma thrillers that I grew up on when I was a kid. And I couldn't get it out of my head. And I just said, you know what, we're gonna make this, we're gonna do it independently, we're not gonna let anyone else influence how we do this. And we did. My company wrote a check, we financed the movie independently, we shot it independently, and now we're releasing it independently.
You had a lot riding on it.
We had a lot riding on it. And, I don't know how we're gonna do financially, but I'll tell you this was pretty much the best experience I've ever had.
Yeah, because coming from studio budgets and all that mess, all these chefs in the kitchen, it must have been liberating to kind of control,
It was nice not having to get in a fight over who you want to cast in a movie or what crew you want to use or where you want to shoot. This really just became a partnership between the writer and myself and the cast that came on board and the crew that was involved. And there was something very genuine about the entire experience. No one was doing this for career advancement or for a giant paycheck. Everyone fell in love with the project and wanted to do it correctly. And that was really refreshing.
Yeah, it's also refreshing. It's a cat and mouse, genre, which we're used to seeing, but it felt very original, because of the characters. You kind of have an anti-hero who's a small-time thief, who can't go to the police when he finds this, sadistic person holding the woman hostage.
Well, I think part of it is that we've had a lot of great scary movies in the last couple of years, but they tend to be more science fiction angle, like in Get Out, the brain transferring thing, or creatures like in A Quiet Place. Or supernatural. A lot of stuff was supernatural and ghosts and things. But to me, the most horrific thing is the real evil that walks amongst us every day. A person like Cale Ehrenreich could live down the hall from you or across the street. And that's, to me, what's really terrifying. And I think that's what makes this film stands out.
Yeah, and David Tennant did such a great job. I was almost scared of interviewing him today because I thought this guy is so sadistic.
It's really interesting, and it says something about his technique, because before I would say action, the sweetest man I've ever worked with in my life. He's helping people carry props. He's just engaged with everyone on set and so lovely. And then I would say action, and you could literally see the muscles in his face kind of change and his eyes darken over, and he got this shark-like look in his face. And all the crew during the take, you could see them all everybody just got a little uncomfortable. And they got really quiet. And then I would say, cut, and he'd be, oh, how was that? Was that all right? And it was just so sweet again. I mean, how he could turn it on and off, I've never seen anything like that before.
Well, by the way, he denies it, because I told him at WonderCon his stars were saying how sweet he was and how nice he was, and then the cameras went on and he was total evil. He denies that. And what about Robert Sheehan? I mean, he's such a great addition to the film, and he's Irish. Who doesn't like an Irish accent, right? So can you talk about keeping the accent? Because most of the time, directors, producers want their actors to have all American accents.
Well, Robert actually has done a lot of different accents. When he worked with me last time, he did a London accent, and he has a movie that just opened this week or next week, I forget when, but he has another film where he does a Russian accent. He's wonderful at accents.
Yeah.
But what I wanted from Robert in this film is I wanted him to go to a place that was going to be very vulnerable, and he was going to have to really kind of expose a side of him that nobody likes to expose. And so I didn't want him to have an accent to hide behind. I wanted him to kind of be in a raw place. So I called the writer and I said, what do you think about rewriting this part as Irish, as an Irish kid who's come to the United States? Well, Brandon embraced it, not only because it was kind of an interesting choice, but it brought the stakes up. Suddenly now, him going to the police meant he could be deported. He could lose his green card. And it really kind of added a great level to his character.
He's gonna kill us. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna get you out of here.